What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to jump in and take a look at the best exotic armor in Destiny 2. I am going to look at subclass specific exotics, but also some of the more neutral exotics. In this video I wanted to highlight some specific ones. Of course, if there are any that I missed that you really enjoy, let us know in the comment section. So I'm going to start out with the Titan. I'll have a few demonstrations for some of these exotic armor pieces. So we have the insurmountable SKULLFORT with transfusion matrix, kills with arc melee abilities, trigger health regeneration, and restore melee energy. So if you're running a Striker Titan, this is a really good exotic, essentially offering you a bit of that transfusion from the Striker Titan in Destiny 1, but for your melee abilities specifically. So if you make an arc melee kill, this also includes shoulder charge, your health will regen, but it'll also restore melee energy, so you will have a full melee charge available once again. It's generally a pretty useful exotic if you're going to be killing a lot of stuff in close range, getting a bunch of melee kills, then this is going to be a very good exotic to try out. A standout one for the Sentinel Titan would be the Mask of the Quiet One. This comes with Dreaded Visage, grants melee, grenade, and class ability energy when you're damaged, and also void ability kills will grant health regeneration. So in some of this gameplay right here, you can see I'm actually taking damage, and it is increasing how quickly those abilities recharge, which is always good. Obviously this will be beneficial in all kinds of activities, but having void abilities actually grant health regeneration obviously is also very beneficial. Any kind of health regen in PvE or PvP stuff is always going to be pretty good. This exotic would generally serve you well in any kind of content as a Sentinel Titan. Of course, we also have DOOMFANG Pauldron, Horns of Doom, Shield Bash melee kills recharge Shield Throw, and melee ability kills recharge Sentinel Shield Super. And the most notable benefit for this exotic is simply being able to throw your shield a whole bunch of times. Essentially, one kind of ability will charge the other kind of ability for the super itself. I would personally go with Mask of the Quiet One, but this is also a good option. For the Sunbreaker specifically, HALLOWFIRE Heart is a fairly decent exotic, so Sunfire Furnace greatly improves the recharge rate of your solar abilities while Hammer of Soul is charged. Essentially, if you're holding onto your super, you will charge all of your other abilities quicker. I'd rather be using that super as much as possible, unless there was a specific instance where I knew I was going to be holding onto it for some time. Where it does shine a little bit more is anywhere where you have kind of ability recharge modifiers, so the Nightfall for example. If you have those Daybreak style modifiers, they will kind of increase your abilities, and it will stack with this chest piece, so it does have its moments. A couple of the more neutral exotics, we had the Synthecepts. These have biotic enhancements, increased melee lunge range, and improved melee damage when surrounded. And I've got a quick example of that melee lunge range right here. You can see that I make a melee, and it just kind of hits the air, and then I swap to the Synthecepts, and the melee will connect now from that same distance, so it gives a quick example of how these things work. It's a pretty popular exotic for aggressive PvP stuff. We also have ACTIUM Warrig, auto-loading link, steadily reloads a portion of your equipped auto rifle's magazine from reserves, essentially increasing the magazine size of any auto rifle that you're using because it is slowly putting ammo back into the magazine. So with things like Sweet Business in particular, you will be able to fire this thing an absolute ton before you have to reload. Very good for dealing with multiple targets in the Crucible and in PvE stuff. Very good for DPS, all around one of my favorite Titan exotics. For the Hunter and the Night Stalker in particular, the Orpheus rig has to be the most standout exotic for me. So it has uncanny arrows, provides ability energy for each enemy tethered by Shadow Shot anchors. So what this basically does is it gives you some of your supercharge back for every single enemy that is actually latched onto by one of your tethers. It's going to give you quite a lot of super energy back, or potentially completely refill your super immediately if you actually tether enough enemies. So this is an incredibly powerful PvE exotic for the Night Stalker. For gunslingers, the Celestial Nighthawk will do some excellent damage. So what this does is modifies your golden gun to fire a single shot with high damage, and enemies eliminated by the shot will explode. And this essentially turns your golden gun into the most powerful one-shot weapon in Destiny. As you can see right here, it does an absolute ton of damage to this yellow bar and just takes him out. The next best gunslinger exotic for me would be young AHAMKARA'S Spine. So it has Wish Dragon Teeth, increases trip mine grenade duration, and marks enemies damaged by the blast. So your trip mines will actually last longer, which obviously increases the chance that they're actually going to do damage to an enemy, especially in PvP stuff. But it also essentially gives you the Night Stalker style markings on any enemies that are tagged by the grenade, so you can kind of follow them up and get them killed, which is always good. For the Arc Strider, Lucky Raspberry is incredibly potent right now. It increases the chaining capabilities of Arc Bolt Grenade and has a chance to recharge it each time it deals damage. So when you throw the Arc Bolt, it will actually increase how far it can kind of potentially travel and how many enemies it can connect with, but it also has a chance to recharge the grenade immediately. This is pretty random, but it does mean that occasionally you'll get that grenade back immediately. Sometimes it can happen 2-3 times in a row, other times it won't happen for 2 or 3 times that you throw your grenade. Arc bolt grenades are incredibly good for any targets that kind of hide behind cover or hide in rooms inside of PvP and stuff like that, around corners. But Lucky Raspberry will increase your range and actually help you hit more targets with that grenade, which is very powerful. Raiden Flux is also very good for the Arc Strider. It comes with Synapse Junctions. Quick successive attacks with Arc Staff increase its damage output and duration. Now this really improves the Arc Strider super, especially in PvE stuff. It's really good. The Foe Tracer helmet has Relentless Tracker, so visually marks targeted enemies and deals more damage to low health marked enemies. Any of the targets which are low health, it will also increase the damage on, and this is really good inside of the Crucible in particular. It's going to help you keep track of targets that you're already aware of, and if you get an enemy player kind of peeking at the wrong time when you know where they are, and if they're low health, you know, this is really powerful. Another big one right now for PvP in particular would be Knucklehead Radar. Essentially provides radar while aiming down sights. It takes a very long time for your radar to kind of pop up and then disappear when you're actually ADSing in the Crucible. When you come out of ADSing with a weapon, there is quite a penalty there. Having a continuous radar is absolutely huge in PvP, and as a neutral exotic, this one is pretty huge for the Crucible in particular. For the Warlock Stormcaller, we have Crown of Tempests, Conduction Tines, Arc ability kills increase the recharge rate of your arc abilities, so anything that's going to increase your ability charges is always good. There is also Eye of Another World, which highlights priority targets and improves the regeneration speed of your grenade, melee, and rift abilities. So again, if you're looking for just kind of general ability charge exotics, these are really good. There is the Nezarec Sin, which has Abyssal Extractors, Void damage kills increase ability energy recharge rate, and this includes any of your Void ability kills, but also Void weapon kills. So if you're running around with Void weapons on a Void subclass, you're actually going to be charging your grenades and your melees and everything like that by making kills with even weapons, and this one really contributes to the idea of recharging your abilities as a Warlock. For the Dawnblade, for me, I think the Sunbracers are pretty good. So it has Helium Spirals, which increases the duration of solar grenades and grants grenade energy on solar melee hits. So if you enjoy using those solar grenades, they will last quite a bit longer with this exotic on, but you'll also notice when you have a charged melee, getting a melee kill will actually dramatically increase how much grenade energy you have. It's not the most crazy or exciting exotic, but I do feel like it's probably the best offering for the Dawnblade in particular, but that's just my opinion. A really exciting one for the Warlock is the Winter's Gill. So Warlord Sigil, eliminating enemies with melee attacks increases your melee damage. So you'll make one melee kill and you'll get kind of one stack, and you'll notice there is bonus damage right there, another kill, and it'll stack again. I believe it goes up to 5 times, but you can see eventually, you know, when she got a bunch of stacks, you can do into the thousands of damage per melee, which is just ridiculous. So if there's a situation where you will be getting a ton of melee kills, this is really good, and obviously you can combine that with some of the other abilities for the Warlock. Lunafaction boots are also a pretty decent one. So your Rift gains the ability to automatically reload allies' weapons, and how this actually works is that as you move in and out of the Rift, or when you return to the Rift, you will actually find that your weapons reload. You can see that on the screen right here. If you're in the kind of situation where you can move in and out of the Rift a little bit, then it can definitely be beneficial. Not necessarily as strong as the Rally Barricade, but it's definitely another option. We can't afford for the transversive steps to go unnoticed, so while sprinting, movement speed is increased and energy weapons are automatically reloaded. There will be a noticeable increase in how fast you actually kind of sprint around while you've got these things on. They also have the hidden benefit of knee pads, so they essentially increase how long you can slide for. So if you're running around with shotguns, fusion rifles, or generally kind of being pretty aggressive in the Crucible in particular, these are really nice. But also your energy weapons will automatically be reloaded while you're sprinting. So you can see as well, I've kind of emptied a bit of the magazine, and as I'm running forward, the weapon is actually reloading. So if you're kind of moving away from targets, especially in PvP, if you're being chased down or something, not having to stop to reload is obviously pretty huge. I do feel like these are particularly good for the Crucible, but they're an all-round pretty solid exotic. I actually think a lot of the exotics have been really well designed and there's some really interesting stuff they can do. Like I said, this isn't every exotic piece in the game, it is the vast majority of them though. I would be curious though to hear what you guys think of these exotics in the comment section and any you think should have been on the list. If you have enjoyed the video though, a like is very much appreciated guys. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more Destiny 2 content, but for now, I hope you guys have an awesome day.